Hi everyone, welcome to episode 126 of the Arieknits podcast. My name is Ariel and this is a video podcast where I talk about all the things that I have been knitting and spinning on for the past week. Today it is Saturday, August 30th. Crazy that we're at the end of August. It's going to be September soon. I have some, I feel like they're fun updates, some boring updates or just like normal. Did some progress on things, but not too much. I do have an almost finished object, which I'm so excited to talk about. I have a gauge swatch to talk about because I'm going to cast that on September 1st. And I have a pretty much finished spin, which is super exciting. And yeah, and a finished object, but I did talk about it last week. All I had to do was like sew it together. But I think that's it. Just a quick update. I was trying to figure out when do I talk about this and what happened. But I'll talk about it now. I got less knitting done this week, although honestly, still a lot of knitting, partly because, well, let me just tell you what happened. I think it was it Tuesday or was it Wednesday this past week? I was cutting some bread, I know, and the bread was kind of hard. It slipped. The bread slipped, the knife slipped, and I cut my finger. I didn't have to go to like the doctors or anything, but it was kind of like, it was a bit scary for me. So I did hurt my finger. It is bandaged right now, but as you can see, it is right where I knit continental, and so this is right where I put tension on my finger when I knit. And so I think for the 2 days after it happened, I did not knit because I was too scared. It was kind of sore, and I just didn't want to bend it. I also am still not bending my finger here, but I got a lot of knitting done before that happened. And then that happened, so no knitting for like 2.5 days. And then I figured out how to knit. I know I'm crazy. Health first. But I was like, how do I knit with my finger still bandaged like this? Because it's going to be like this for a while. But I figured out how to knit with my tension right down here instead of up here. And so as long as I keep this finger, I can't knit like that for too long, but I can get some knitting done. But that's just to say that I got a lot of spinning done this week because it was way easier to spin because my left hand is a hand that just holds the fiber. It's not the one that's doing the pinching and the actual drafting. And so this hand that's not working well right now, it's just the one that's holding the fiber. And so I got a lot of spinning done this week, which is fun and was great. And so I can still spin. It was fine. It is kind of funny though, because I do kind of just like walk around without bending this finger like at all. And so it kind of just looks like I like have a question all the time when I'm kind of just like have my hand up because I keep my finger up like that. But anyways, that's just a thing that happened this week. And not that there's ever a good time to cut your finger, but not great. I wanted to do some house projects this week too. Maybe you can tell. Actually, was it like this last week or did I do this past week? No, it was like this last week. Anyway, I like switched up. I moved my cabinets around. I wanted to actually put up a pegboard like mounted to the wall behind me this weekend, and that might happen. Anyway, sorry. I know that I'm way off topic now. We're here to talk about my knitting, and then I'll talk about the other stuff. Actually, I have some fun weekend plans. I have a three-day weekend this weekend, and so I have some fun fiber yarn related plans. And we'll talk about that later. Okay, let's get into like the normal schedule. Let's talk about what I'm wearing. I believe that this is my first time wearing this on the podcast, but I've talked about it before when I finished it. This is my Nolita tank by Tori. I made this as it was my second knit for our PKW Flock U knit along. The knit along is now done and it's over, but I'm still trying to catch up on posting on Instagram. So I did post this top this past week on my Instagram, but yarn I used for this was, for the main color, it was Change Fibers Bayshore Fingering base in the colorway Skyflower, and because this is a DK weight pattern, I did hold that double. And then for my very subtle contrast color, I will stand up here. It's all around kind of like the edging here, this light pink. It's some pink leftover fingering weight yarn that I had in stash, and I also held that double. And so it's all around the, I have to angle myself so you can see it and there's no shadow, but it's all around the armholes and also around the neck, and I'm very happy with this. I did wear this for a bit during flock, and it was nice because it was kind of warm, and so I really needed like a tank top, and so it was nice. And this, the Bayshore Fingering base is a Shanico cotton blend, and so it is a pretty nice, I was hoping that it was going to be a nice like summer yarn, and it is. It's great. And so also it might help because this is a pretty like breezy tank top. I mean, you know, I really like the depth of this neckline. Keeps it nice and open for the breeze, for it to feel nice. But it's not super light. It's not too low for me. So it's great. I knit size 2. I use US 6 needles, 4.0 millimeter needles to knit this. Final measurements is 32 inches in circumference. So that gives me about 2 inches of positive ease. And I know I keep doing this with my tank tops because I usually size up for my tank tops versus the recommended amount of ease, because I feel like for tank tops and stuff, it's usually supposed to be more tight fitting. And so it's usually like 0 or negative ease. But I don't like things to be really tight on me, so I usually size up. Now, I like the fit of this top as it is. I will stand up again. Also, it's a little wrinkly. I do apologize for that. I do like the length of this top. I think I might have lengthened the body so that it's not like cropped at all. I do really like the length. And you can see that there's lots of positive ease, especially around my stomach area. And so I like how it fits. I do think for me the armholes are a little bit large. Like if it was just a little bit shorter around there, although that's very adjustable, then that's what I'll do for the next time that I make this, because I do like the amount of ease. I just think that the top, actually maybe if I just shortened, I don't really know how, but if I shorten, although I like the depth of this, I think I would just need to shorten the underarm. Although I would consider making size 1 for this for next time, just to see, because I think that probably it would be okay, ease wise. So yeah, but either way, like I like this top and I've been wearing it, and it's nice. It's a nice summer top. Very cool yarn to work with. It does feel quite cottony, but I feel like that always, like knitting with it, less nice, not as nice to knit with as wool, in my opinion. But the outcome and the garment that comes out, it's a nice, just like cool, non-itchy fabric. And so that's always good. I do really like the color of this yarn. It is mostly blue, but the parts that I think are like the cotton parts in the yarn and the fiber looks more pink purpley, and so I really like it. Looks kind of tweedy in that aspect. So yeah. So this is the Nolita tank, and yeah, very happy with it. It is nice because I'm feeling a bit warm today, and so it was kind of good that I had this to wear on the podcast and not like a sweater where I'm going to be like really hot while filming. So it's worked out really nice. Okay, let's quickly talk about my one finished object, because it was basically finished last week, but I just needed to, I think that it was washed and blocked already last week, but I just needed to sew it together. I needed to figure out if I was going to sew it together so that it would just be a circle basically, or, you know. It is my 2-color brioche scarf. I did not personally follow a pattern. I did this as part of like a buddy knit with Megan and Emily, and Emily's the one who started with a pattern, and then she made some modifications, and she wanted some friend help to get motivation. So me and Megan said, yes, we will also knit similar scarves. Megan's one looks a lot closer to Emily's one, color-wise, and I think also yarn-wise, it's closer to each other, but Megan's is making hers skinnier, and mine's is not the same colors at all. Theirs are black and white, and mine's, as you can see, is not those colors. I also use very different yarn, just all superwash yarn, and but my width is pretty similar to Emily's. I think I did the same number of stitches she said she cast on, except I did an accidental decrease right at the beginning, and I did not fix it. And the stitch count's not going to matter for this pattern. For me, it wasn't going to bother me, so I just left it the way it is. And I needed to figure out, because mine was going to be a lot shorter than everyone else's, and that was just because I was using yarn that I had in stash. I had 2 skeins each of this color here, which is like the tan speckled color. It's Coast to Coast yarn Classic DK in the colorway Sprinkle, and then the other tonal color is Sewrella Classic Sock in the colorway Hollywood Studios, and that's a fingering weight yarn, which I held double so that I had a DK weight and then 2 strands of fingering. I used US 6 needles, 4.0 millimeter needles to knit this, and yeah, I just kept knitting until I ran out of one of my yarn colors, and then this is the length that I had. You can see right here, I just sewed it together. I was like not super bothered. I just did a whip stitch across. Like, I was not going to try and like make it look seamless, because I don't think it really matters, especially because the way I'm going to wear this is just like this, and so it really is not going to matter too much. It's like really tall and kind of like round, like big, like it's not like super drapey, but when it's cold, this is going to be so nice to wear, and it feels like a nice pillow. Like, this could be like a when you're on the plane and you need a neck pillow, like I kind of feel like it could, I guess it's not that squishy for that, but it kind of has a similar feel. But yeah, this is how I'm intending to wear it. It is too hot right now to wear it now, but it is ready during the colder months. Actually, I could probably just also, if I wanted to, just like drape it like this. You can see how long it is. It just goes to right, kind of like my waist-ish, a little lower than that, but I could also just wear it like this too, which is actually quite nice. And then I won't have to worry about it falling off of my neck, because it's all wrapped together. It's connected. So actually, that'll be quite nice. And so I am looking forward to wearing this when it gets colder. And final length I got for this after blocking was 52 inches in length. And so that's where I'm at, and that's what I got. And so yeah, I decided to connect it, and that's that. Okay, so that was my kind of sort of quick update on that one, but that is my officially like finished object of the week. Where am I going to put this? I'll put it back in the bag. Okay, let's talk about my whips. Okay, I'm going to show you the one that is basically done, but I didn't want to call it a finished object yet because I still need to weave in ends and wash and block it. But I did it. I did it this week. I finished my Birch Pullover, patterned by Andrea Mowry. The yarn I used is Explorer Knits Earthy Sock in the colorway Bainbridge Island. Oh, I love this colorway. I knit size 1. I use US 2 needles, 2.75 millimeter needles to knit this. And gosh, I'm so happy it's done. Did I tell you all last week? I didn't realize. I looked up when I cast this on, because I was like, I couldn't remember when I cast it on. I was like, how long has it been? I know it's been a bit longer than I was anticipating, but didn't realize I cast it on last September. So it's been almost a year, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't like that. I want this to be off my needles because I want this sweater for this upcoming season. Like, I want it to be ready when it's cold enough to wear it. I want to put it on right away. I want it to be my first sweater that I put on. this fall, winter. Let me show you. I was just working on the body, and so you can see my stitch marker here. So I just had like a couple more inches of the body in the half fisherman's rib, and then I had to do 2 inches of 2x2 rib on the bottom. And then last night I finished up the ribbing and did the tubular bind off, which felt so long for some reason. Usually I don't get too bothered by a tubular bind off, but for some reason this one I was like, oh my gosh, the time is like when I looked at the time I was like, how did like a whole hour pass and I'm not done yet? I actually don't know if it was like a whole hour, but like I was like, whoa, time went by so fast. And I'm not done with it yet, which was, it's a weird feeling. But I finished it. I just need to, again, weave and ends, wash and block, and it's good to go. I'm so pleased. It looks so great. If you are new to my channel, this is actually my second Birch pullover that I've knit. I've knit one before and I absolutely love it, and so I'm really excited to have a second one in my wardrobe to wear. I love the texture of it. I love how it feels. I love the fit. It's gonna be great. Both of the ones that I've made now are both in non-superwash yarn, and they're both soft non-superwash yarn, and so it's great. It's gonna be great. Oh, one thing I do want to mention, maybe, I'm trying to look at what I did here. I did not make any modifications to this. I didn't check length. I honestly just was checking the length of the body compared to my first Birch. But for the tubular bind-offs, I did do that thing. Sorry, I'm trying to find one where I can maybe show you the difference. I think I did this before, but I found that when you rearrange your stitches for a 2x2 rib to do a tubular bind-off, so that it ends up just being 1x1 rib, I actually prefer, I think the way that I knit for some reason, I prefer for when you do the twist stitch, for it to be right leaning instead of left leaning. And this might not be very obvious on camera, but this is the left leaning, and I feel like even though the camera's blurry, you can see that there's like a weird line that's going across this way. You can see the stitches going to the left. Pretty, I don't know, like I feel like it looks really obvious, but when I go to the right, it looks less obvious. Here, I guess I should show them both, but I need to like kind of stretch them so you can see it. I hope you see what I'm talking about. Like this one, you can see there's something going on, but this one doesn't look as crazy when I go to the right instead. And I did the same actually for my body hem. I went to the right instead of the left to rearrange the stitches. And I just think it looks cleaner to me. It just doesn't have, it still looks like something's happening right at these last edges, but like it doesn't look like there's like these stitches. Well, I guess it's going this way. No, it's going this way. When I'm facing you, but yeah. So that's the only thing that I did, and all I do for that, because you do have to do that on a different, like you have to start that on a different stitch. The last round before I start the rearranging, like if you have your beginning of round marker, right? On the last round, I knit until one stitch before beginning of round, and then I just pretend that that's my new beginning of round for the rearranging of stitches, so that I start immediately with a right leaning like twist stitch. But yeah, okay, that's it. Gosh, I really can't believe it took me basically a year to knit this, but I know it was very worth it, and also because I want to cast on a new sweater on September 1st, which is going to be also a fingering weight sweater on small-ish needles, although not this small, but the texture I feel like is going to be somewhat similar. I'll talk about it a little bit later because I do have a gauge swatch to show you all on that, but yeah, I'm glad I had this done so that I don't have to worry about having 2 fingering weight sweaters on my needles. But yeah, my Birch is basically done. I'm so excited. I think I will plan on showing it to you once I wash and block it. Who knows, maybe I'll wear it next week too, just for the podcast, but we'll see. Okay, next up is, this will be a quick update. I don't know how many like new viewers I get every week, so I don't want them feeling left out if I don't talk about the details on this every week, but also for the people that do watch me every week, which so kind of you. I don't want this to bore you every time, but I'm gonna try and just keep this short. I don't even know if I should update this every single week because it might get boring, but I'm gonna do it just because that's just what I've been doing, I guess, in the past. Anyway, this is my mitered corner blanket patterned by Purl Soho. I'm using just leftover fingering weight yarn and I'm holding them double. I am following the size small pattern like for the stitches, and I only knit 2 squares this week. It's these 2 right here, a really nice dark one. This might be Chinley. love Chinley. And then this one is I don't remember the colorway name, but it's from Coast to Coast, and it was like her shop exclusive, like pink, light pink, and kind of like golden green speckles on it. So pretty. And I found it. When I did my rearranging of my yarn and stuff, I also went through a container I had of some leftover yarn, and so I picked some out to add more to my blanket, and so that was really nice. But yeah, I only got 2 squares done this week, and they're really small squares, but yeah, kind of lost. I was doing really good. I was like, maybe I'll do a square a day this week, and then my finger thing happened, and then I was like, I'm not feeling like spending the little time I can knit or figure out how to knit on my blanket. I wanted to finish my Birch. Like, that was like the big thing. I was like, oh my gosh, I just want to finish my Birch. But I did a little bit on the blanket. I do just want to work a little bit, even 1 square, just some progress every week on this blanket would be great. I did have this thought that I would finish that blanket this year, but considering how many things I still want to cast on and finish this year, might not happen. But that's okay, because the other things are a lot more important and maybe a little bit more fun for me to want to finish them this year. So, but it's nice to have, I like having like a scrap project that I'm working on. So at least it feels like I'm working through my leftover yarn. Okay, I have progress, small progress, because I only worked on this project this morning. This was my knitting this morning. This is my Fleur Tee by Woolbird. I will hold it up. It's looking pretty much the same. You can see my stitch marker here. I only worked very little bit. Like, that might not even be an inch. This is worked bottom up, as you can maybe tell. This is a tee. And the yarn I'm using is Sewrella Cotton Linen Wool in the colorway Queen Mary's Rose Garden. I'm knitting a size 2. I'm using US 1.5 needles, which is 2.5 millimeter needles, to knit this. And it's going great. I've memorized the pattern, and so I don't have to look at the chart while I'm working on the body. And I did measure it this morning, and I was at 9 inches. And so now I'm probably at a little, like, close to 10 inches now on the body, and I need to be at 11 inches, and so I'm really close. I'm hoping that by next week I would have split for front and back, and yeah, I would love to finish this tee in September, and like maybe mid-September, because my goal is to knit 3 of these in total, 1 for me, 1 for my sister, and 1 for my mom, and I would love to have that done before before Christmas because I want it to be their Christmas present. They know that it's happening, but I would just love for that to be done before Christmas this year. So that is kind of where I'm at. And I do need this to be done. I did mine's first because I did not gauge swatch, which I probably should have, but I don't normally if it's not a test knit. But I need to check sizing on this and see how my gauge is when I've knit up the entire thing. How does it fit on me? How does it compare to the pattern gauge and the measurements? And just so that I know when I start my sisters and my mom's that it'll fit them once I start and pick the size that I know will fit them. So I need this to kind of be like my sample to figure out what to do for the next ones. But I'm feeling pretty good, honestly, for this. In the beginning, it felt like it was working up really slow, but right now, maybe it's because I've memorized the pattern, it feels like it's working up a lot faster, and so it's very encouraging for me for this. And I think that the stitch pattern looks really nice, especially with a lot more of it knit up. I feel like when it was just like this much, I was like, I like it when I see other people's project patterns, but I couldn't quite imagine it yet for mine. But now that there's a good chunk of it, I really like how that texture is looking up, or knitting up. But yeah, I'm almost done with my first skein for this one too, and so that's great. Makes it feel like I am making progress. And yeah, so that is the Fleur Tee. And okay, next up, I made good progress on this next project. It is right here. It's just there's other projects stacked on top of it. Okay, this is my Rivendell Pullover by Sari Nordland. Let me hold it up. Yay! Okay, I finished the first sleeve. As you can see, this is my my stitch marker here. Well, there's two stitch markers. I use this stitch marker, which I got at Flock this year. It's so cute. This is where I finished last time we talked, and so I just had a little bit to go. I was like, I gotta finish the sleeve this week. Although again, after my finger incident, I did some of it, I think, and then my finger incident happened, and I was like, oh my gosh, but I really, really want to finish it. And so I did finish it once I figured out how to knit a little bit with my new finger situation. I don't have a new finger, just like the new way that I've been wrapping the yarn around my finger. Okay, and then because I really do not like picking up stitches for sleeves, I just have to get it done. Like when I finish a sleeve, I have to immediately pick up stitches on the other sleeve. Otherwise, I just fear that it'll never happen. And so I did pick up stitches and I did work a little bit. I think I worked right up until a little bit past the first decrease for the sleeve, just so that I can get the first decrease out of the way. And so here's what I have on my second sleeve. And so that's been working up really nice. It's really is looking a lot more like a sweater now. And I just finished a ball of yarn. That's where I stopped for the sleeve. I finished a ball of yarn. Yay. And so that's how I decide sometimes when to stop working on a certain project and work on something else. Because then I'm not attached to a ball of yarn. I can freely hold this up and show it to you on the podcast, which is super nice. So now I need to wind up another ball of yarn for this to continue working. I would ideally hope to get this second sleeve done this coming week. But we'll see. Because I am planning a new cast on, and whenever I have a new cast on, I just work on that so much during the first week, 2 weeks. But I do want to get this done also very soon so that I can cast on another one of my Make 9 for this year. After this one, I only have 2 more left. But I do have other projects. That I want to start and finish before the end of the year too. So I would, if I can just start them earlier so that I have lots of extra time, that would be super great. But yeah, I would like to finish this sometime in like mid-September, or just sometime in September would be ideal for me. But yeah, that is the Rivendell pullover. Oh, the yarn I use for that, Explorinits Earthy DK in the colorway Chinley. And I'm knitting size 1. I'm using US 4 needles or 3.5 millimeter needles to knit that. And that's like the main needle size. I believe that that's the recommended needle size. So yeah, it's been working out super nice. Okay, let's move on. I forgot to mention, I do have a new cast on. I think it's in this bag here. I have a new cast on, and this is not my gauge swatch cast on. This is a different cast on. Because I finished my August socks early, and like I've been mentioning this entire episode and hinting at, is I have so many things I want to knit this year. I was like, I'm gonna just start my September socks. Also because the pattern I decided to use, it might take me longer to knit, and so I was like, I'm not gonna wait, I'm just gonna start them. I'm very, very happy with how these are looking right now. These are the pressed flower socks. Okay, let me talk about details. Let me talk about why I decided to work on this pattern, or do this pattern. Pressed flower socks, and this is by Savory Knitting, Amy Christoffers, and the yarn I'm using, my main color here is Explorinits Denali Sock in the colorway Thistle, and this is actually some leftover that I had, but the project, I think I only used 2 grams of this full skein for the other project that I bought it for, or used it for, and so I basically have a full skein of this, and I was like, that'll be great. And then, but you might be like, but that's not my September sock yarn. This is my September sock yarn that I picked out. This is hand-spun sock yarn, the fibers from Union Fiber, and it's a 2-ply. I think it might kind of be like a sport weight type of yarn, but it's kind of like this different shades of purple, pink, and there's some green in there too. But yeah, and it's a 2-ply. I spun this, I think it was last year, and it was an interesting spin because I think this was my first spin, maybe first and only so far, spin with nylon in it. And I remember it being kind of staticky working with it, which I thought was pretty funny. But, okay, so this hand spun was my designated September yarn to knit my September socks. And I was just trying to figure, I was like, what pattern am I going to knit this with? And I think the only pattern I've knit socks with my hand spun has been the DRK Everyday Socks. And I love that pattern. I love how it fits my foot. But I was like, I want to do something different this time around. And that's when I was looking at what patterns I have in that I've already bought but I haven't made yet in Ravelry, and I was like, I bought these pressed flower socks pattern some time ago. Might have been when I got the pressed flowers cardigan pattern. Potentially I might have gotten, because I also, one of my make 9 this year is a pressed flowers shawl, and so I have those 3 patterns. I think I bought them all together, might have been a discount for it, and I was like, I want to make these socks, and I was like, I think this would be a good pattern to do it. The only thing is that my main kind of like sock yarn will be the contrast color, but also that's totally fine. I'm just going to have a lot of this left over, and so I will eventually make the rest of it into probably the DRK Everyday Socks or another sock that I decide later, but my September sock is going to be my pressed flower socks. Also because I do have a whole skein of leftover yarn, which feels not leftover, it just feels like I have a whole skein, and I was like, it would be great. I think that the colors look great together. I've kind of only gotten through the really light pink parts of my hand spun, but it's great contrast. I was worried that even though I've knit this pattern, or like the pressed flowers like motif before, I was worried how it would feel using small needles, like sock needles, you know. Did I mention I'm using US 1 needles for this, 2.25 millimeter needles? Like I was like, is it going to feel kind of fiddly or anything like that? And honestly, it doesn't feel as fiddly to knit as I was fearing that it would. It is a little different experience for me because the cardigan was knit. Although, did I knit the sleeves for that? Must have been in the round. So I probably did have experience knitting this in the round. Never mind. It doesn't feel as fiddly or complicated as I thought it would on super small needles, which is great. Great for me. And so, yeah, I did get this amount done, and I really like looking at this. I want to knit on this more this week. Okay, my one thing is, so this pattern is just one size. I think that there's some instructions on what to do if you need to, like, make it bigger, but there is only one. The instructions only have one cast on number of stitches to cast on. Luckily for me, I think that size will work. I did not gauge swatch for this because that would be kind of crazy, but so far, like, I've tried this on what I have here and it feels fine. One thing that I am changing from the pattern is that the pattern has two different needle sizes, one for like the cuff and I think like maybe the heel and the toe, and then another size which is slightly bigger for the rest of like the flower pattern part. And I am not, well, one, I didn't have any of those needle sizes. Actually, I might have had one of them, but I was like, I'm not going to do that. So I am just using US 1 needles, 2.25, which is in between what the pattern said, which I think is 2 millimeters and then 2.5 millimeters. So I'm just using these and it feels fine. So it's working out great for me. Yeah, I'm really pleased with this. I'm really glad that I was able to use a pattern that I haven't knit before, but I've already bought. And so that feels nice. I want to use all the patterns that I buy. But yeah, so those are my September socks that I've started a little bit early, but I think it'll be good. Also because, again, it is, even though it's not as tedious to knit as I thought it would be, it is just going to take me a bit longer to knit than if it was just stock knit or a rib or something like that, because I do have to look at the chart for this one. But yeah, I feel like it was time. It was time for me in my sock knitting this year to do another kind of like charted sock knit. But yeah, okay, so that was my one new fun cast on this week. And then, yeah, okay, sorry, I was like, did I miss something? No, I have a gauge swatch to show you all. Okay, I mentioned this last time, but I am going to participate in Hohi's fall knit along this year. And part of the reason why I am doing this knit along is because I have been wanting to make the Mabel's sweater pattern by Hohi Locatelli. I wanted to make it for so long, and it was time. It was time to do it. Also, my friend Sophia, who also watches the podcast, hi Sophia, she, I think, was the one who informed me. She was like, Hohi's doing a knit along. And I don't actually, what was the timeline order of what things happened? Because I bought yarn for this sweater at Flock. I don't think at the time I knew this knit along was happening, but it kind of worked out perfectly because I have the yarn now to knit it. Anyway, I am going to knit the Mabel sweater by Hohi Locatelli. The yarn that I am using and bought for it is Explorer Knits Denali Sock in the colorway Leaf Peeping, which I wanted to stay in kind of like the yellow realm of this sweater because that is the sweater that Mabel Mora, the character, Selena Gomez's character in Only Murders in the Building, which I'm excited because I think the new season's coming out in September, and so it'll be a great time to like knit this sweater and also watch the new season of Only Murders in the Building. But in the sweater that was inspired this pattern is in this yellow color, and I'm not really into like that yellow, straight yellow color, but I feel like this golden, orangey yellow, I mean, it's more orange, but it's similar. It's not like I'm doing it in like a white or a pink, which would be very me, but I did want to stay in the similar color realm as the actual sweater inspiration. So that's why I went with this color. And I did do my gauge swatch. I did not wash and block this yet, and so I need to do that to make sure, see how I'm doing with the with the gauge. But I think unblocked, it's a little small, but I do think that this will block out a little more. Or it's a bit of a stretchy stitch. This is my first time doing this. I'm hoping on camera you can see that it has this like interesting texture, like it's not just like a 1x1, and it's not brioche and it's not half fisherman's rib, but you do like a alternating knit below or purl below, just like a half fisherman's rib, and so it'll be an interesting texture. I am hoping that this will be on gauge after washing and blocking, because I am liking how this looks. I was worried that it was going to look indistinguishable from 1x1 rib, and that all of that extra work of doing knitting one stitch into the stitch below would be not recognized. But I do think it's giving a different kind of texture there, and so I'm happy with that. I'm just hoping that this will be good. I cannot cast this on until September 1st for the knit along, and so I do think I will start immediately on September 1st. We'll see. I'm interested to see if it feels like it's going to take as long as the Birch. I did not check gauges in between, but this is using a US 3 needle, 3.25 millimeter needle, and so it is a little bit bigger. And I am planning on knitting size 2. I think that'll give me, I think it was like 4 inches of positive ease. And so I think that'll be good. But yeah, so I did finally gauge swatch that. And I'm pumped. I'm excited for this new cast on. I would like to actually finish it for the knit along, but because it is a fingering white sweater, it might be pushing it. Because I also have other things that I want to knit and cast on this year that may take some priority over this one. But again, we'll see. It makes me happy to knit these things, and so I'm not feeling like pressured. I don't feel like I may be a little stressed, but not like bad stressed about it. But I'm gonna work on what I can and just see how I'm doing time wise. But yeah, I'm excited for this Mabel sweater. I feel like it's the right time to do it. Thank you, Sophia, for letting me know about the knit along, and also I think she's also knitting this Mabel sweater with me for this knit along. So we're gonna have some cute matching Mabel sweaters together. Okay, let's move on now. That's all the knitting. I'm gonna move on to my spinning. I finished my spin that I talked about last week, which was the Little Fiber Co. Rambouillet in the colorway Fungi Filigree. And the only thing is, so I finished it, but I finished spinning them, but I did not finish them, which lately has been the theme for me. I used to be so good at washing and blocking things before talking about them on the podcast, but it's just not have been, I don't know what's going on. But so I did not wash and thwack and finish the yarn. But it's all spun up, and I can show it to you here. So it's looking kind of crazy. It's looking all pigtaily and all of that. It's not nice and smooth, but this is the finished yarn. This was a fun spin. I don't know, I think it reinvigorated my love for Rambouillet, just maybe because my other spins right before this was not Rambouillet, and so this felt really great. I love the colors. You know me, I love a good pink brown, and I know, I see pink in everything, but I swear to you that there is some pink in there, but it is mostly brown. It's mostly brown, but I love it. It's just all the different shades of brown, you know, and they all look so good together, brown and tan, and white. There was a lot of white in the fiber, like in the fiber form before spinning, but it all blended out, and so it really just looks like brown, different shades of brown, but I'm very happy with it. Okay, now here's the thing though. And this was also a total of 8 ounces. Like this was 2 braids worth of fiber, and I actually have stats on this time because I keep forgetting to share them with you all. I believe this is my first skein of my hand spun is about 302 yards before washing. With Rambouillet, I found my yardage shrink like kind of a lot after washing, but I didn't wash it yet, and I usually don't take yardage measurements of my spins after washing until I wind it up to use it. But I feel like the yardage before wash is always nice, so I kind of have an idea. My second skein is 231 yards before wash. It is smaller than my first skein, just because when I applied it, I just put more onto the first bobbin than the second one. But 302 yards plus 231 yards. And then with my leftovers, which I always do, if I have a thing of leftovers, I just put it into a center pull ball, and then I do a 2-ply pulling from the outside and the inside, and I have this little fun one, and this was about 26 yards. But yeah, so I have a nice skeins of hand spun that I'm really happy with. Okay, the only thing is my plan for this was to use this as my contrast color for my pressed flower shawl, but I think it's too dark than what I was anticipating, and so I am actually planning on spinning 2 more braids of fiber that I have as a potential for my pressed flower shawl. And so then once I'm done with those, which I will probably start today or tomorrow, this weekend, once I'm done with those, I will compare them side by side with my main color yarn, which is a brown. That's why I'm kind of worried that this will be not contrast enough with my main color for the shawl. But I will compare and see what I want to do with my contrast color for the pressed flower shawl after I spin up my next contender. So we'll see. You'll see. I will talk about it on the podcast, and I'll probably ask for your input as well. Once they're both done, and I can like hold them up with the skeins, and we can see what choices we have. But okay, so that's the spinning. I know I said it's always funny because I'm like, oh, I did a lot of spinning, and I did, but the spinning, I feel like progress is just like, oh, like you have skeins versus like knitting projects. I feel like you can see like how much length in the sweater, or like, oh, you have like a whole new like sleeve now, which is really funny. But yeah, more spinning. I want to spin. I have so many spinning ideas, plans for the rest of the year too, but that might not happen, or it might. Who knows? Okay, let's move on to acquisitions. I have 2. One is I got this week, and the other one I forgot to share it with you last week. Okay, this is from La Mercerie's Year of Fiber for September. So if you haven't gotten yours yet and you want it to be a surprise, then this is your warning to look away and not listen to me for a little bit. So that's your warning. I'm going to hold it up now and talk about it. This is from Witchfire Fibers. The fiber is heathered merino. It's a 100% merino 4-ounce braid in the colorway September Reverie. Oh, this was a really nice, every time I open up the package for the Year of Fiber, I never know what to expect. Also because I don't know who the dyer is. So it's always, I found it to be really fun, the Year of Fiber. And I love that it's a merino, so it feels nice and soft. But it is heathered. It does have these like darker gray spots kind of like all throughout, and so I do think it maybe is a little bit more rustic than like a well, not that the gray would make it more rustic, but for some reason the merinos that I've had that felt a bit more rustic had gray in it, so that could just be why I think that. But it's very soft and smooth. Not as soft and smooth, although I have to spin it to really tell, but I feel like the super fine merino is like so soft. But this still feels so nice. Also, these colors are really pretty. I think it's a great color combination for September. And so I'm really looking forward to spinning this. I have not spun any of my fiber yet. I want to start, now that's getting closer to the end of the year, I want to figure out what I want to do with that. Maybe next year I could do like what I did with Woolberry's rewind yarn, where I got each of them for like the month, and then the next year I, not in order, but I did try to finish up all of my rewind yarn. And I could, for the spin, like next year, I could do it in order next year though, like spin each of the yarn fiber that I got in the month that I got it this year, but next year. But yeah, so this is the September one. Got that this week. And then the one that I forgot to share with you all is something that I got, well, Emily made the order for the group of us, and then she gave it to us at Flock while we saw her. I'm going to hold it up. This is my Yarn Jam Shaniko Silk. This is my first time that I'm going to spin with Shaniko Silk, which is 80% natural Shaniko and 20% mulberry silk, 4-ounce braid. In the colorway, Very, Very Merry. And this is going to be our Christmas sock spin for this year. And yeah, so I got this. I came into possession of this last week. No, 2 weeks? 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago, whenever Flock happened. And yeah, I love the colors. It's very pretty. And I'm excited to start it, but also I'm like, oh my gosh, is it almost December? Like, because they're going to be spun up for Christmas socks. I guess I need to spin it up first and then cast on. When did we cast on last year? Was it Christmas Eve? I forget, but yeah, it feels like, oh my gosh, I feel like it is like crunch time, or like, you know, it's time to start thinking about the end of the year, which is so crazy. I have a lot of things that I want to cast on before the end of the year. I want to cast on another one of the yarn sweater quantities that I got at Flock this year for a Come Back Again, the cardigan by Andrea Mowry. Really, really want to make that, and so I want to cast that on. I have plans to cast that on, I think sometime in September as well. And then, do you remember my fish bag? I think I showed it to you all last week. I'm obsessed with it, and I want to make it for my cousin's presents this year, and for my sister. So I also need to like somehow do that, but that might not happen. I can't start it yet because I need to figure out what fabric I want to use for those. I have a lot of just sewing things I want to do, Christmas presents I want to make for people, just not too much, but again, making things just take a bit longer, and so I need to take that into account. I feel like there were other things. I mean, there's just a whole bunch of things I want to spin. But you know, I'll show it to you all once I cast them on and all of that. Okay, one thing I want to mention before I go is, I think I mentioned in the beginning that I have some fun yarn fiber plans this weekend, and my plan is to dye some yarn and fiber this weekend. I told myself this year that it was during the summer was when I was going to like make my yarn dyeing setup like in my garage, and kind of like do all of that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's the end of summer. and I didn't do any of that. So I feel like this 3-day weekend, we have no plans. And so I want to use this 3-day weekend to like actually do that. I want to dye yarn. I want to dye fiber. And I want to figure it out in like the setup that I would like to have in the house. I guess it's in the garage. But like now that we have a place and I figured out a place that I want to do all of that for the future, for future yarn dyeing and fiber dyeing, I want to like test it out and see how it goes. So I want to do that. I have plans to do it. We'll see if I do it. I just hope it all works out. But yeah, so that's my fun plans for this weekend. If you have a 3-day weekend, do you have any fun plans? Doesn't have to be knitting or fiber related either. I think we want to try and go out to eat at a new place that we've never eaten at before. We haven't figured out where, but we feel like, oh, we should try a new place this weekend. And so that might be a thing we do as well. I want to get my setup in my room more solidified. I bought some light fixtures this weekend, although it has to get shipped to me, but it should be coming this week. So you might see that. I think one of them is going to live like in this corner here. So that should be fun. I need to do some cleanup, reorganizing, but it's happening slowly, but it's happening. So yeah, I want to do more sewing too. Like I want to sew the fish bags, but because I need to wait a little bit for that, I feel like I want to just like sew another garment before getting back into the fish bags. Yeah, I have a lot of things I want to do, and I feel like not enough time. But yeah, it'll be good. It'll be good. I'm excited. Oh, one thing forgot to mention, not that it really matters either, but I was just thinking, I was like, oh my gosh, I only skated once this past week. And to be honest, I mean, it kind of worked out, but I was so tired from my skating competition. Was that also 2 weekends ago? Was that last weekend? And whenever that happened, I had the skating competition, and then that week after that, I went back to skating. I had my lessons. I was like pretty on it, but I think I really should have taken a break because I was so pooped. I was so tired. And so this week, I skated, I think on Monday, and my coach was out this week. I think she took vacation, and so I skated on Monday, and then I was like, I have to sleep in on Tuesday. Like, I'm so tired. I could not wake up in the morning. And then it must have been, was it Tuesday that my finger thing happened? Because after that, I was like, well, it would be really hard to tie my skates with my finger like this because it usually pull really tight, and I could probably figure out how to do it, but I was like, I'm going to take this as a sign. So my coach is out this week. I'm going to also take off this week, and so I did not skate this week, just once on Monday, but I did not skate for the rest of the week. So but Monday's a holiday. I need to figure it out. But this coming week, I'm getting back into the schedule of that, but like, now I need to like re-stretch. I need to like figure out how to wake up early again. But I do think I needed that break. I needed that rest, that sleep. But yeah, it was good. This week was like good and also like weird. Like it was, I don't know. It was kind of weird. But yeah. Oh, I went to a knit week. I got to see my friends, I think for the first time after Flock happened this past week. And so that was nice. I got to see everyone again. I guess not everyone, but like a good bunch of us. And so that was really nice to hang out with them. I think that's all I have for updates. Yeah, I'm excited for this weekend. I want to stay at home and still got to do chores. But I want to stay at home. I'm going to do some yarn dyeing, do some fiber dyeing, do some knitting, maybe do some sewing, or at least prep for sewing. And it'll be a good time. Yeah. Okay, that's all I have. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments down below what you've been working on. I know I have so many projects that I want to knit and cast on, but I love hearing all of your either recommendations or just things you are knitting on, because it really does give me ideas and inspiration for future cast on, future knits, future spins, and all that. So let me know in the comments down below if you'd like. You don't have to, but I do love reading your comments, and I hope you all, if you also have a 3-day weekend, I hope you all have a great 3-day weekend, and I will talk to you all in next week's video. Bye!